An Australia Museum Guide. Chapter 1. An Australia Museum Guide. The Australian Museums and Galleries Association. Amiga.org.au. Amiga has general info about Australia. I did not see a list of museums there. amiga.org.au/my-collection, resources for museum professionals. They have a job board. creative.vic.gov.au. infrastructure.gov.au. The International Council of Museums Australia lists events, offers a museum discount card. icom-australia.mini.icom.museum. The International Council of Museums Australia lists museum events and news for museum workers. If you join, you get a membership card which is good for museum entry fee prices at museums worldwide. Australia Museum websites at dmoz-odp.org/reference/museum/by_region/Oceania. If you go to dmoz-odp.org/regional/Oceania/arts_and_entertainment/museums, it's defective. There are no websites listed for the Australia regions. Use dmoz-odp.org/reference/museums/by_region/Oceania to find Australia museums. Subcategories: Australia, New Zealand, Art, History, Maritime, Military, Natural History, Railroad. A list of Australia History Museum websites at dmoz-odp.org/reference/museums/history/Oceania. Landsboroughmuseum.org.au. Landsborough Museum includes over 10,000 items in its collection and specialises in the social and cultural history of the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, Australia. nma.gov.au, National Museum of Australia, featuring 3 themes: Australian Society and History, Aboriginal Australia, and People's Interaction with the Environment. Marlboroughmuseum.co.nz, Marlborough Museum, Provincial Museum Complex at Brayshaw Park houses a range of artefacts, images, documents, and displays relating to local history. Strathmuseum.org.au, Police Station and Old Courthouse Museum, located in the former police station, 1858, and Courthouse, 1867, in the township of Strathalbyn, South Australia, that focuses upon the lives of the original inhabitants and settlers who first came to the district. sydneyjewishmuseum.com.au, Sydney Jewish Museum, information about the museum, exhibitions, visitor information, and education resources. toytuosm.com, Toy Otago Settlers Museum, information about Dunedin's character, culture, technology, art, fashion, and transport. ttgmuseum.on.net, Tea Tree Gully Heritage Museum, the Higher Coombe Hotel showcases the history of the Tea Tree Gully area in South Australia. Australia Natural History Museums at dmoz-odp.org/reference/museums/science/natural_history/Oceania. naturespowerhouse.com.au, Nature's Powerhouse, Cooktown Botanic Gardens, Environmental Interpretive Centre located in Cooktown Botanic Gardens, with displays of paintings by Vera Scarth Johnson, wildlife exhibitions, hyper-reality images and a cafe. Queensland, Australia. Australia Museum websites. The Australian Museum. 1 William Street, Sydney, NSW 2010. Australia. +61 to 9,326,000. Australian.museum. rubens.anu.edu.au/museum, ANU Classics Department Museum, Australian National University, Canberra. rubens.anu.edu.au, ArtServe, 27,000 images of art and architecture, mainly from the Mediterranean area. artgallery.nsw.gov.au, the Art Gallery of New South Wales, sydney.austmuse.gov.au, Australian Museum, sydney.mov.vic.gov.au, Museum of Victoria, Melbourne. nga.gov.au, National Gallery of Australia, Canberra. nma.gov.au, National Museum of Australia, Canberra.phm.gov.au, Powerhouse Museum, Sydney. uq.edu.au, University of Queensland.racingmuseum.com.au, Victorian Racing Museum, Caulfield, Victoria. mm.wa.gov.au, Western Australian Maritime Museum, perth.wa.gov.au/musewa/index.html, Western Australian Museum, Perth. amel.phm.gov.au, Australian Museums Online. aumol.ucd.edu.au, Australian University Museums Online.lib.mq.edu.au/mcm/aumis, Australian University Museums Information System, aumis.vicnet.net.au/vicnet/arts/page4d.htm, Victoria Museums. Australia Museum websites at blog.feedspot.com/Australian_museum_blogs. Australian.museum/blog. modoph.gov.au/blog. abbeymuseum.com.au/blog. Australian National Surfing Museum.com.au/blog. blog.qm.qld.gov.au. hellenic.org.au/blog. maritime.history.sa.gov.au. museum.wa.gov.au/explore/blogs. Kea North by Eastyan museum.org.au/museum-blog. sydneyjewishmuseum.com.au/blog. Chapter 2. Lists of Australia Museums. Find lists of Australia museums by region and subject at en.wikipedia.org/wiki/list_of_museums_in_Australia. Go to en.wikipedia.org/wiki/list_of_museums_in_Australia. Click on the lists I list here. By state and territory. List of museums in the Australian Capital Territory. List of museums in New South Wales. List of museums in Sydney. List of museums in the Northern Territory. List of museums in Queensland. List of museums in Brisbane. List of museums in South Australia. List of museums in Tasmania. List of museums in Victoria, Australia. List of museums in Melbourne. List of museums in Western Australia. By subject. List of aviation museums in Australia. List of computer museums in Australia. List of contemporary art museums in Australia. List of music museums in Australia. List of Holocaust memorials and museums in Australia. List of natural history museums in Australia. List of open-air and living history museums in Australia. List of railway museums in Australia. List of science museums in Australia. List of transport museums in Australia. A list of the best museums in Australia at theurbanlist.com/a-list/best-museums-Australia. Australian.museum, the Australian Museum. AustralianAgeOfDinosaurs.com, Australian Age of Dinosaurs. Australian National Surfing Museum.com.au, Australian National Surfing Museum. awm.gov.au, Australian War Memorial. Carnarvonmuseum.org.au. crystalcaves.com.au. greatausseabeershed.net, the Great Aussie Beer Shed and Heritage Farm Museum. moss.museum/powerhouse-museum, Powerhouse Museum. magnt.net.au, Museum and Art Gallery of the Northern Territory. mca.com.au, Museum of Contemporary Art. mona.net.au, Museum of New Art. museumsvictoria.com.au/scienceworks, scienceworks. museumsvictoria.com.au/Melbourne Museum, Melbourne Museum. nma.gov.au, National Museum of Australia. samuseum.sa.gov.au. sea.museum, Australian National Maritime Museum. twma.com.au, Tarawara Museum of Art. museum.wa.gov.au. WA Museum Boulevardip. visit.museum.wa.gov.au/Boulevardip. A list of Australia museums and galleries at magsq.com.au/museum-gallery-directory. Commissariat Store Museum. 115 William Street, Brisbane, QLD. Riversley Fossil Discovery Centre. 19 Marion Street, Mount Isa, QLD. Hervey Bay Regional Gallery. 166 Old Maryborough Road, Pialba, QLD. The Condensory Somerset Regional Art Gallery. 29 Factory Road, Toogoolawah, QLD 4313. Woodford Museum. 109 Archer Street, Woodford, QLD. A list of the most visited museums in Australia at worldatlas.com/articles/the-most-visited-museums-in-australia.html. The National Gallery of Victoria. 2 Gallery of Modern Art, Goma, Brisbane, Queensland. Art Gallery of New South Wales, ANSW. The Domain, a heritage-listed open space area in Sydney, New South Wales. Australian Centre for the Moving Image, ACMI. Federation Square, Melbourne. Museum of Contemporary Art, MCA. Sydney, New South Wales. Chapter 3. More Australia Museums. Australia Maritime Museums. anmm.gov.au, Australian National Maritime Museum, Sydney, Australia. Australia Rail Museums. Archer Park Rail Museum. Canberra Railway Museum. Dorrigo Steam Railway and Museum. Lachlan Valley Railway. National Railway Museum, Port Adelaide, Port Adelaide. Newport Railway Museum, Champion Road, North Williamstown. NSW Rail Museum, Thirlmere. Rail Motor Society, Patterson. Railway Museum, Bassendean, Western Australia. Richmond Vale Railway Museum. Rosewood Railway Museum, Rosewood. Steamtown Heritage Rail Centre. The Workshops Rail Museum, Ipswich, Queensland. Valley Heights Locomotive Depot Heritage Museum. Australian Rules Football, AFL, Halls of Fame. Australian Football Hall of Fame, EST 1996. South Australian Football Hall of Fame, EST 2002. Tasmanian Football Hall of Fame, EST 2005. West Australian Football Hall of Fame, EST 2004. Prison Museums in Australia. Adelaide Jail, Australia. Bago Road Jail, Brisbane. Fremantle Prison in Perth, Western Australia. Old Melbourne Jail. Trial Bay Jail in New South Wales. Trial Bay Jail in New South Wales, Australia. Port Arthur Penitentiary in Tasmania.